Hi, and welcome to Complete and Cast, the official podcast for Complete and Box video games. Today, in episode 65, I know it's been a little bit of a break since we did our last episode, we're going to be talking about the eventual release of the PS5 and the Xbox One Series X, or Xbox Series X. So, as we're all well aware, there has been certain things going on in the world this year. 2020 has been very interesting. And yet, we are looking at the next major video game release, supposedly coming out at the end of this year, around Black Friday. And I'm here to tell you that I, for one, am pretty worried. Now, I will say I'm recording this on July 29th, 2020. So, of course, everything I say is going to end up being completely wrong. And you're going to look back on this and go, you were wrong about this. This is just how I'm feeling right now, and some of the worries I have heading into this holiday season. So, obviously, with the pandemic that's going on, things are a little bit different in 2020, as we all know. And I'm kind of going to go into a little of this stuff and why, at the end, I believe that these systems should be delayed from their projected, and I say projected because there's no date yet, release of Black Friday-ish 2020. So, as of today, we're sitting at 121 days until Black Friday. Plenty of time for certain things, but not a lot of time if you're looking at a major release like a system release. So, let's set the stage real quick. For the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, I'm pretty much going to be talking both of them as the same thing. I know there's some Sony fans, some Microsoft fans, and some who like both. This is just information that I'm usually just going to go on about both. If I have any specifics about either system, I'll mention it. But this information and my opinion is about both and both releases. So, as of 121 days away from Black Friday, there is no release date yet for either system. There is no price for either system. You cannot pre-order the systems pretty much anywhere. There's some janky websites out there that let you, but it's not official ones like your Amazons, Best Buys, Walmarts, that kind of thing. And quite frankly, we don't know all the specs on them. I have customers almost every single day coming to me and saying about how they're so excited to get a PS5 because it's going to be fully backwards compatible. Sony hasn't said a single thing on that, whether it can play PS4 game discs or 3 or 2 or 1. My worry, knowing Sony as I have for the last 9 years with the store, is I'll believe it when I see it. I believe that when they say backwards compatibility, first of all, it might not even happen because Sony has never specifically came out and said anything. But they also might mean backwards compatibility in that, you can download the games again that you already have for PS1, 2, 3, 4, and they could count that as backwards compatibility. So I would really wait until we hear specifically from Sony about the backwards compatibility. I think it'd be a very expensive but very cool thing to do. But if it isn't announced already, being 4 months away, why wouldn't they? If this system was backwards compatible, it would be a system seller. People, even people I know that generally don't do newer systems or aren't fans of newer systems, if this was fully backwards compatible, they would absolutely get themselves one. So, again, something like that really, really worries me. Now, over the course of at least the last 10 years or last 15 years, as I know it in video games, generally what happens is the big systems come out around Black Friday. That's pretty common, but pre-orders are available a lot of times right around E3, which is late May, early June, and that's when they start the pre-order process. And at that point, we know how much it'll be, the exact release date, all this stuff. Now, we're 2 months full off of that late May general time, and sometimes you can even pre-order a little bit earlier. So we're at the very end of July, and I've never seen a system, at least in my adult life, come out 4 months away, which is what they're telling us for Black Friday, and having so very little information. So much so that like I said, we don't know the price, we can't do a pre-order, we don't know the date, we also don't know the release games, what games they'll be. There's a lot of rumors out there that the games will be $70 a piece, which I'm really hoping is not the case, because that'll affect a lot of stuff. Not only will it be more expensive for me and you, but then used games will be more expensive. You'll see a lot of, like, say a brand new PS5 game is 70. Well, then a used game would be 55, 60. And I'm not going to comment that that'll be exactly what it will be in store, but say hypothetically, a brand new game for 70, I could see us doing like 55 for it used. I think even something like 50 for it used would be too little comparatively, because that's a pretty gosh darn good percentage off, because remember, we have to buy it from the person trading it in, and if we're selling it for 50, the max we can give is 32, 35, and that's only 50% value for a brand new game. So that's another thing that we have to consider, and I'm really hoping the rumors they're kind of putting those rumors out there to fish and to see how people kind of feel about it, and obviously there will be some backlash, but if there's not too much backlash, maybe they'll go with the 70. And of course, games being $60 has been a thing since the Xbox 360 era. Pretty much every AAA title that comes out for the last, 15 years have been $60. But in the past, it has changed. PS1 games were generally 50, whereas N64 games were generally 60, sometimes 70, sometimes 80, if it was like, say, Donkey Kong 64 with the expansion pack. And even if you go back to the 16-bit era, a lot of Sega Genesis games were priced based on the actual RAM used in the cartridge. So you'd see a simple game be like $40, $50, but then a big game like, say, Phantasy Star 2, you would see be 70, 75, even $80. So it's not so much that it's never been done before that the prices changed. It's just that we've been used to it now for so long. It was the Wild West for years and years for Nintendo and Super Nintendo and N64 and GameCube and Wii. It was always changing. But now it's been 15 years of just $60 is what people expect to pay for a AAA game. So that's another worry I have of them doing that for 70. We don't know the price of controllers. My worry is that those would be 70, maybe $80 a piece. I mean, Nintendo's shown that people will pay $80 for a set of Joy-Cons. That's what they've been for 3 years, and people still pay it. I wish they were less. I wish there was something I could do with it, but MSRP is MSRP. So, again, we don't know any of this stuff. We don't know prices of games. We don't know prices of controllers. We don't know any of this stuff. And again, it's never been that you, like, say hypothetically if they opened up pre-orders tomorrow, then it would still be 120 days, almost exactly 4 months until it comes out. That still seems like not enough time to really, you open up pre-orders for a week and then Sony goes, okay, well, we got 1 million from GameStop, 500,000 from Walmart, 500,000 from Best Buy, 2 million from Amazon. I'm obviously making numbers up. Okay, well now we know with 5-6 months in advance that we need to get 6 million systems out there. So every day that ticks by and we're not getting pre-orders, I'm more worried about just the supply chain on this. So let's talk about this real quick. As we all know, for everything right now, the supply chain is crazy. Let's stick to the world of video games for right now. You still can't get PS4s, barely can get Nintendo Switches, you can't get controllers. I mean, try to go and find a PS4 controller brand new right now. You might get lucky and go to like a Walmart or Best Buy as they get a couple in, but there's a lot of people that have been looking for weeks and weeks for brand new PS4 controllers. Now, I understand that if they're really ramping up production of the PS5, they're not caring so much about the PS4 right now and resources are limited. I get that. But the supply chain for this stuff has been crazy. I mean, the supply chain for everything has been nuts. Even something as innocuous as children's pools, or pools in general, have been impossible to find. When everything was still shut down, I tried so hard to find marshmallows for roasting, like, s'mores and stuff like that, the bigger ones. And I went to stores and stores and stores, and I couldn't find anything. In fact, my one friend who goes around to different stores as a distributor was the one to find them for me, and he was like, oh, I'll find them easy, and it was not easy for him. He found them at like the last possible second in like the back of a store. So, and that's marshmallows. We're talking, a brand new system that's just coming out. So I don't feel like the supply chain will be healed enough by November to really get these systems out there. I've talked about it in the past, but video game companies are absolutely awful with supplying stuff ahead of time. Many times, not even during pandemics, we will get the games or the new systems or the new whatever at the very last moment possible. In fact, many times I'll have to drive to our distributor over past Philly to pick up certain games if I want to have them for release date, because they'll get them the day, say it comes out on a Friday, they'll get them at 2 p.m. on Thursday afternoon. So my choice is either trust that UPS gets it to us on time, and even then it would be a couple hours late because we don't get our shipments until the afternoon, or just drive out past Philly and just pick it up, make sure you have it in hand, and you're good to go for the next day. That happens a lot in better times for standard video game releases. I can't imagine how it'll be now with this whole supply chain issues, something people want so badly. How in the world are we going to be able to get these systems? So because of that, my general theory is that, and this isn't big brain stuff right here, this is pretty, average stuff, is that it's going to be mass chaos if and when the systems come out in November. I think there's likely not going to be as many systems out there as people think there will be, especially since pre-orders do help both us as a store and the companies in general to know how many to make. And yeah, Sony knows that people want PS5s and stuff, but at least if they can have pre-orders, they can know we need to send this amount to this store, and this amount to this store, and this amount to this store. And there's no information on that yet. I'm very worried about scalpers out there, especially since a lot of these pre-orders are going to be online, setting up bots. Everyone who's tried to pre-order a high-volume thing over the past couple years knows that bots are just, they just automatically pre-order this stuff for people. So, even though Sony's come out and said, max 2 PS5s per household, and honestly, I don't know if that was Sony specifically or just a rumor, although it would be a very smart thing by Sony, to do. You can set up multiple accounts, and you can have all your friends do bots and all this stuff. So there's definitely ways to get about it, and no one wants to see that. No one wants to see the only systems out there only going to online scalpers and bots and stuff like that. No one wants that. When people ask me in store about the PS5 and the Xbox Series X release, and if I'm excited and all that stuff, generally I'll say, hey, what happens when you have good news to deliver to someone? In general, and this is just me, but I hope I'm speaking for most people, when you have good news, you want to deliver it right away. It's good news. You want to tell the person, hey, I got the job, hey, whatever. Anything good you want to deliver right away. When it's bad news, you generally, might put it off. Not any absolutely catastrophic news, but something minor, oh, by the way, I broke the vase, sorry mom, you wouldn't say that first thing. You would put it off, and then eventually it would just have to come out, right? Generally that's what happens. So my question is, what news has been reported so far on these systems? And the answer is virtually none. So if it was good news, if Sony was, it would be great news if it was backwards compatible. Have they delivered that information yet? No. The price, if it's something that's going to be super affordable or not too much, have they delivered it? No. The release date, if they're firm and sure that everything will be out by November, have they delivered it? No. And that's for Microsoft as well, of course. When it's bad news, you tend to put it off, and I just don't see any news coming out, again, being 120 days away. So my expert quote-unquote opinion is just delay it until next year. Delay both these consoles to next year. CEO of Sony Gaming should get on the phone with the CEO of the Microsoft Gaming division and come out with a joint statement saying, hey, 2020 has been pretty crazy, and we're just not ready to release this, both of us. And you know what? We're both standing in solidarity, and this will come out next February, or March, or June, or even November, Obviously, that's pie in the sky, and it'll never happen kind of thing, but it's the right thing to do with all things considered, because I've seen the song and dance. PS4s, for instance, when they first came out, we knew about the price, the exact date, all that stuff plenty ahead of time, and that did not make it an easy release by any means. It was still a brutal, brutal, brutal release. Even the Wii U that people weren't that excited for was a pretty brutal release. And I just can't imagine how brutal it'll be. So, again, if I'm the head of Sony, I'm calling them up and being like, listen, I know that a lot of the reason that the information isn't getting out there yet is that both sides are waiting for the first side to speak, the first side to enter the dance floor, so to say. And then, Microsoft comes out and says, hey, the Series X is 600. Okay, then Sony, maybe they were planning on making it 600, but they go to their, accountants and they go, can we release it for 550? And the accountants go, okay, yeah. And they come out the next day and go, you know what? PS5s are 550. And that's a major reason when there's especially just two companies doing stuff that you see this information coming out slowly, because they're both playing the song and dance and waiting. But I also feel that they're both waiting because it's all bad news and no one wants to come out and be like, hey, these are going to be really, really hard to come by. My biggest worry going with the potential delay, or at least the delay that I'm hoping for, is that one will delay. So say Sony comes out and says, we're delaying this till March, which, again, in my opinion, is the right thing to do. That the other, say, in this instance, Microsoft, will hurry a system out that isn't ready, potentially hardware-wise, that isn't ready software-wise in terms of games, and that isn't ready as far as the distribution is ready. So potentially we could see, if that happened, huge shortages. I mean, more than even expected, because, now Microsoft is like, all right, we're coming out, with it. And if someone was on the fence between the PS or the Xbox, they might go, I don't want to wait 6 months. I'll just get the Xbox, So that's even more shortages there, because more wanting it. More price gouging with the scalpers and the bots and all that stuff. Pre-orders potentially not met, especially if one side is just like, we're just getting out what we can get out, and then someone at the last minute says, oh, I want to change my PS5 pre-order to an Xbox One X, Series X. We could have hardware issues, bringing it back to the Xbox 360 with the Red Ring of Death. That system was just not ready to release. It was a poorly made system, the original one. I swear by the slim model of the 360, but the original one is awful. So we could see hardware issues because they're pushing it out too fast, and like really, really pushing it out too fast. I feel even now it'd be pushing it out too fast, but especially if Sony would say, hypothetically, we're not coming out until March, that Microsoft would be like, oh, we need to do this right now. That's what happened in the 360 and PS3 era to an extent. The 360 came out almost a year before the PS3. Now, the PS3 had an awful release as well for many reasons, but the 360 came out almost even like too early. Like it wasn't even ready. It wasn't cooked. That would make all these issues that I mentioned would make distributors unhappy. It would make stores unhappy. It would make customers unhappy. It would just make it that all, anyone working at any game place or any place that carries games, all you would hear is, do you have any PS5s? Do you have any PS5s? No. Right now, with the fact that we can't find anything, it's understandable with the pandemic and the supply chain and all that stuff. So I really don't mind being like, we don't have Switches because they're just not making many right now, and that's the gosh darnest truth. But but the Switch isn't coming out right now. It's not on release right now or in the next 6 months. It's been out for 3 months. It's had time. There's used systems out there. Yes, they're hard to find, but at least it's out there. But if you're bringing out a hot item right during this pandemic, everything's looking, like it's still going to be a thing in November. And even if they had a miracle cure come out in 2 weeks, it would still take months to get that all really out there. And this is the time when we're 4 months away that, manufacturing has to be happening for these systems. Like, we're past all that other stuff. We're at the point where, like, you are manufacturing and making them now, and you're probably pretty far into that process. And of course, all the manufacturing and all the supply and all that stuff has been, put on the down low recently because of everything going on. So again, my conclusion with this is just delay the systems. Just do it. I really, really hope for both Complete Inbox's sake and my sanity and customers around here and customers around the world and just everyone that they just come out and just say, you know what, it's the right thing to do to delay it to, next March, next June, whenever, when things are a little bit, chiller, whether the pandemic's under control, whether people are more used to it. That's another thing I didn't even go to. Like, people, who knows about a Black Friday, right? Who knows about a Black Friday? Walmart and Target have already came out and said that they're not open on Thanksgiving, which is great and should have always been a thing. But who knows how Black Friday would be? Like, can you imagine, like, a Walmart being like, yo, we have these doorbuster sales, these 60-inch TVs are $700 off. Like, that is a really bad look right now in time, when even, in my state, restaurants can only be at like 20% capacity. And then Walmart's like, hey, there's these huge sales. That's why even for, usually by this point, I know it's crazy because it's 4 months away, but at this point for Complete Unbox, I'd be kind of figuring out what we're doing for Black Friday, getting a rough idea, potentially starting to get stuff ready. It's all on hold right now. We have no plans right now for Black Friday, and we don't know if we'll be doing one specifically for health, for safety, supply issues, all that kind of stuff. So again, both these systems coming around at the same time, right around Black Friday, with what could potentially be a pretty dangerous, both physically and mentally, holiday season, is just another reason just to put these off to a time where it's not so crazy. I understand it's about the bottom line and the almighty dollar and all that stuff, but people are still going to want the PS5s and the Xbox Series X come March or April or June or even next September, October. Hopefully things are more chill right now, but I would gain a lot of respect for either one of these companies if they came out and just told us just straight up, listen, we haven't been saying much because of this, this, and this. I feel like only the most stubborn fools would, like, you can be disappointed, of course, absolutely, but I feel like only the most stubborn fools would be, like, outraged or angry because of it. Like, why? I don't understand. Really? You know what I mean? Really? Have you been alive these last 4 months kind of thing? I feel like only the silliest people in the world would be, like, outraged, or I'm never getting a Sony product again because of this, or I'm never getting a Microsoft product again. This is the reality of the situation right now. And if they, come out in the next 4, 6, goodness, even 8 weeks, and they're like, here's the price, here's the date, it's definitely coming out, pre-orders are available, I'm going to be so worried for just all retailers that it's just going to be awful. It's going to be an awful release. I'm really hoping for them to move it back, for everyone. I know a little bit is, watching out for myself, of course, and watching out for the store and all that kind of stuff, but for everyone, I feel it would be the right thing. So that's it. That's all I have for you today. It's just kind of something I wanted to get out there. I know people have been very excited, and it's really cool to see, obviously, people still very excited with gaming. I mean, that's amazing. It's just one of those things where sometimes external circumstances happen, and you just gotta kind of have to look at it and really take into consideration every step of the process, not just the PS5 in your hands, but from the very beginning to the very end, that if it comes out in this November will be very difficult. So thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments or anything about it, let me know below. You can absolutely disagree with me. That's no problem at all. If you've seen any other information between the time I post this and then, keep in mind I did record this on July 29th, 2020, so heck, you might even be watching this after the system's already out. So thank you again for watching. I appreciate it, and have a great day.